coming back to the topic. So if somebody is asking you to write the program, you probably need to write some programs that require team collaboration, teamwork. There will be programs that you will be writing not necessarily on your own, but you are working in the team. So table of two is okay, you will be able to write individually. But if you are working in the ERP system, what is ERP system? What is MIS system? Can you explain me what is ERP system, please? What is ERP? Enterprise resource planning. What is MIS? Management information system. You guys have done that? Not introduction to database, introduction to computer systems, I think. Right? Not introduction to database. Don't worry about which course you studied that. You have to keep in mind where you have to keep a general idea of it. So what is ERP system? Enterprise resource planning. What is MIS? Management information system. So if somebody asks you to write the program for a bigger company, you cannot just say, run to the corner of your table and start writing the program. You will have to gather the business process model, how the current processes are running in the company. Do you want to jeopardize those systems? No. You are there to improve those systems. So you have to analyze the current processes of the company. You have to use some tools to understand and document the business current processes. You cannot just come into the company and say that these are the changes I'm going to make. From tomorrow morning, we are going to do this. It's not a wake up call in the morning. You have to transition everybody. The changes have to happen in a systematic way. You cannot just make an impulsive decision that I'm pulling the plug of this computer tomorrow. You will not be able to see this computer tomorrow. It has to go through a process. Right? I'm sure everybody is a student here. Somebody at some point have done skip the dishes or DoorDash. Right? Or you have worked on gas stations, on POS systems, point of sale systems. Right? If not, I'm just making it up. But you guys have you might have worked with different systems at some point, right? How that information is relayed to you, how that information is being stored, how that information is given to the kitchen or the restaurant, and how it is being dispatched to you when you are driving. Right? All those things are coming in a systematic order. Nobody is giving you a piece of paper that here is your delivery. Go and fetch that delivery from there. Right? Nothing is paperwork. Everything is going through a process or a system. So somebody who has, I'm just making out a example here. I'm not saying that this is just a, you have to abide by this example, but I'm just saying that for any food delivery system that has to happen, somebody who has designed it will have worked in a team. They have modeled it. These are the pieces that we will have to have. We will have a customer piece where he will go and select the restaurant and select the food that he wanted to order. That has to be stored in the system. Then that stored information will be dispatched to where? To the kitchen or the restaurant. then the kitchen area will have to make that dish to happen. That's the part of the second process. Third process is it will be ready to be picked up by someone. So all these processes are placed. So how different is this program from the program of writing the table of two? Too much different, right? This is a whole company's process involved here. That is why we are learning this course. That is why we are doing a critical thinking analysis course here. Think about it. Think the main purpose of this program is to think that what are the processes that you are going to incorporate in the business, because when you will be sitting in the coding desk, you will be given some requirements. Requirements might not be as clear, right? Sometimes it is just one to one. Somebody will just come and say that here's the program I want you to write. But if somebody comes and just say here's the program I want you to write, it is not the professional way of writing it, right? You have to have everything in written and documented, so that if somebody comes and say that this is what not I have asked you to do, and you have done that, or you have not documented it, but you have not seen it, and you have done that in your program and the code, which this was not expecting out of you, nobody will use that program then, right? Because when you write the code, when you write the program, people will not use it if it is not easy, if it is not according to the requirement, because they might as well go back and say that, you know what I was doing, I'm happy that this is what I was doing in the past, I will leave it as it is, I'll not use your program. So you, as a programmer, as a team of a programmer, has the responsibility to write the programs in such a way that are adaptable by the business should adapt. So now I'm bringing the word business and IT. When you go to the office, there will be two different sections. There will be an IT section and there will be a business section. Business users will say, we need this in on our company's website. They are not the coders. There will be some accountant, there will be some account receivable person, there will be an account payable person, there will be a sales person, there will be a marketing person, there will be somebody who is bringing the business development person, right? And if somebody comes and say to you, we want this and this in our company's website, why did they come to you? Because they know you are the one who is the programmer who can do it. They are not the programmer. Their specialty is something else. They are marketing manager. They don't know single thing about coding. Who will know about coding? You and your team is responsible for that. That is why the first bullet point says that analyze the business process model tools to understand and document the business process. What is documentation? What is documentation? Yeah, writing it, right? Document the whole process, that is how it is been currently been done in the company. And if there is any changes that has happened to that process, you will update that document. What do you mean by version? Version, version. Yes. So version means an update. What is mean by version? Update. So let's say I used to do think certain way. I used to send out invoices to my clients through Canada Post, right? But now I am sending the invoices to my client through emails. Process has changed. So I'll need to go update that documentation process as well. That version number 1 says that send out the invoices to the customers through Canada Post. We don't need to do it anymore. So the version 1.1, which will be the latest version of that document, will say that send out the emails to the customer. So this is the new process, new version, new way of doing it. So any update, any changes to the processes will have to be documented. That is why it is called documentation system. It is open or not? It is turned off. I'll have to see here. Oh, but my system is currently turned down as well. I don't need. We'll come to that. So in the ERP system, in the management information system, what we need, documentation as well. So what do you mean by that? Everybody used to do, I don't know if it is going to work or not. I'm going to shut it down. If it doesn't, I'll share my screen. I usually will do everything here on my screen. Okay. Any questions so far, please? Okay. Modeling. This is the big part that we'll be doing in this course. Modeling the issue, modeling the program. Does this ever work? Have you guys taken class in this? It does work, but it's not working right now. So I don't know what's the deal with it, but I'm not going to making anything right now anyways. So what do you mean by modeling? Yeah, designing something. So that's what we are going to be doing a lot in this course. Do you have any questions, please? Do you have any question? Let me know if you have any questions. I will answer you that first rather than discussing it with yourself. So what do you mean by modeling? Yes. So now if you look at the first bullet point, that's what we'll be doing. We will be creating a model for the business. The reason you are taking this course as well is that obviously you will be a programmer, but you will not be the programmer for the life. At some stage, you will be making some teams under you, or you will be going into the companies from one company to another company, right? You will be switching one job to another job. You will be going higher in your ranks in your career as well. So you'll not be doing the coding sometimes for the whole. Sometimes your role require that you come as a manager or you come as a business analyst and give some recommendations to the company. That because I have done this in the past for the last 1 or 2 years in some company, now I am ready to give my advices to other companies as well. When I will join the other company, I will say that, you know what, this is the process that you can improve. So you are coming as a critical thinking brain to the companies that this is how you will be doing it. So you are not going to stuck yourself at one part in your career, a coder. No, you will be coming as a business analyst, you will be coming as a data analyst, you will be coming as a data science expert, machine learning expert. There are different branches of software, right? So you will not be just stuck with one set of thing, but where you will grow in your career is with this kind of analytical and critical thinking skills, that you'll not just think of yourself that I have to write the table of two with the very small, with a very small mind, just one focus, that I have to write the table of two or write the table of five or something like that. You are coming in a bigger picture, that I want, that I'm developing a food delivery system. What are the components that I will need to make it a successful product, right? So your software, an e-commerce website, an Amazon website or eBay is not just a small program. It caters client, it caters the vendors, it caters the suppliers. Everybody is involved. So it's a big ERP system. Amazon is a big ERP system, right? Shipping is also involved. The vendors are also involved. Inventory is also involved. So it is allocating all the resources very effectively. Identify the describe the types of stakeholders, not stakeholders, stakeholders. What are stakeholders? Right. Important people. The people who have funded the project. The people who have funded the project are called stakeholders. Okay, so if somebody has said that I have the money to give you, make this project, will they be coding for it? No, they are the funders of that project, but they expect the human resources to be available to make that project happen. That is why you will have to hire some people, you have to let some people go, you will have to make a team, and then that team will work towards the project and meet the deadlines in that project. So you will not expect that somebody has given you a project and that project has to be completed in 1 year, but you are completed that project in 2 years. So if I have allocated, let's say I have allocated, I am the CEO of the company, I have allocated $500,000 for a project for 1 year. And after 1 year, it was only half done. I don't have enough funding to keep paying my employees for the next 1 year because I've already allocated only it for $500,000. Now you come to me and then you'll say I have to keep paying the employees the salary while I am me being the stakeholder of that project will not have that enough funds to keep paying for the next 1 year. So the deadlines of the project have to be met as well. So be able to apply effective stakeholder management. Analyze the requirement to determine the client's need. If somebody just send you an email and say a quick email that this is what I want, can you write a program for me on this? You cannot just simply agree to it as a coder. You need to understand. Now here's the important point coming up. If you have already made one software and that is working perfectly okay, in a perfect world, you have written a program and it is working okay. and somebody comes and say to you, can we add this to our program or that to our program? And you will have to, this cannot be just written in one email and then you are able to do those changes. It has to come through your manager or your supervisor that you are making those changes. And the reason I'm saying is that why is that if you start making the changes in the program like this, if somebody comes and say to you or standing next to your door and say that can you add this report for me or can you do this to me, if you're starting to make these changes, what can potentially happen? Two things can happen actually, I can think of right now. One thing, yeah, just think about it because it's a critical thinking program, so you can give your feedback. Huh? Yeah, that is one thing that can happen. So if you're making changes without informing your team, or even if your team knows that you are making those changes, yeah, one thing can happen. If it is not the part of the requirement and you are making those changes, what can potentially happen? One thing that can happen is that if you make the change and that change that you make can potentially break the program that was already running, you have put the whole system in the jeopardy, because now you made the changes and that changes has made it to the final environment, final production environment. Nobody was expecting it, and you made a small coding error, let's say, and nobody has tested that change. Now what will happen? You will say you will have to go back, either fix that or go back to the previous version. That is why versioning is important. You might have heard something called UAT in computer systems. What does that mean? UAT, user acceptance testing. What is UAT? User acceptance testing, meaning that if you learn about that, think about that. As the name suggests, users acceptance testing, meaning that once the program is written, it will be tested against what user will enter. And what will happen? Let's say if you are if you go on Gmail and you want to create a new Gmail account, what are the requirements for creating an account on Gmail? Your first name, your last name, your date of birth, on all those things. Can I create a Gmail account without giving my first name and last name? So, right? So what does that mean? If I will be able to create my Gmail account without giving my username and user first name and last name, it failed the user acceptance and testing, because the requirement was by the stakeholder was to give the username and the first name and the last name. Yeah, obviously you can go and create junk username and password, but you definitely have to give the username and password. If you are creating a fake email account, you definitely go and enter your fake date of birth. That's not the point. Point is, are you fulfilling all the requirements by the system? So that is where the user acceptance and testing comes. User will try to break the program with the garbage information. That's another part, but that is one other department. User acceptance and testing department, or the people who are working in the UAT department, will have their job on hand to make sure that somebody is not entering the garbage information in the data, or if the garbage information is added, it will deny that this garbage information is not going to be added. Okay, so let's let somebody calls in my company and say, I need 5 items of this product, but they have never called us, but somebody has entered that information into the system. Is that considered an valid information or invalid? It's an invalid information. So no invalid data should make it to your ERP system. So let's look at some of the things we are going to see here. This is an important diagram that I'm going to make here. Okay, you are the developer here. This will be a UAT, and this will be a sorry, this will be a live production environment. This is the environment that your client is using, right? This is the environment your testing department or UAT department is using. This is the environment where you are working. It's called development environment. Okay, so let's say you wrote some code, you wrote some code, you tested, you wrote some code on your own. You are writing that code and you are fixing that code, continuously fixing that code if you are writing some code, right? So in your environment, you are writing some code. This is your code. I'm not writing a very good code here, but this is your code. And let's say this is a good code that you have written, but you forgot to fix, but you forgot to cover one particular aspect in your program. Okay, this is the first time your program will be used. Once you are done, your UAT department or user acceptance testing department will get that code from you, right? And they will say, okay, the programmer has written this program in the development environment. Now let's test this program. Who has the responsibility to test that program? Testing department. So they got this code. They don't know and they don't need to know anything about that code. All they are worried is that when they run this code, it runs perfectly okay. Right? If it has an issue, what will they do? They will give it back to you. So development environment, testing environment, and this is called, actually, I should call it as a live/production environment. Okay, let's assume one thing. Let's say we don't have any testing department in the company. You are the developer and you give it directly to who? To the client. Problem is, if there is a coding issue, what will happen? It will go to the live environment without testing. What will happen? When the user will see that you have a bug or the issue in the program, or it crashed, or it doesn't run as expected, you actually did not fulfill the user acceptance and testing. You did not fulfill their requirements. Okay, so let's say if you have a client that was expecting something but he did not get it. What will happen to you if you purchase a phone and that phone has issues? What will happen? You will go back and return that. I don't need this phone anymore, right? What will happen to your clients? I don't need your code, take it back, right? So what is the immediate responsibility of the UAT department is to, before this handling has happened, it will be a continuous cycle of improvement of the code. Once this is good code written, I'll actually make it a green. Once it is written a good code, then push it to where? To the live environment. After that, testing is done. Let's say testing is done, errors are fixed, everything is running okay. Then you'll say, your testing department will say, yes, it is now looking good. Let's make those changes to the live environment, production environment. What's the consequence of this? A happy client, because now he has the product that is fully functional and working. If you take out the testing out of it and you say that I will do my own testing, that will be a very biased testing, because I forgot to do certain things. I saw that some things are working and some things are not working. I just gave it to them. But your testing department does not know anything that how it was coded. All they are expecting is how the program will run. When the program is running maliciously or has an issues, they will not do anything further with it. They will give it back to the development. No, keep fixing it. We don't going to be giving it to the client until all these requirements are faced. It might take a couple of days or a week to fix all those issues that you have. But once those are fixed, it will be a good working program that you give it to the client. The client will come back for the next project because they have seen that the first project you have done was in good hands, was done properly. So always you will have to have a development, testing, and production. This guy sitting at the testing department does not know how do you code it, but you know how did you coded it, so you can go back to your development and add some further layers of protection in your code. Once that is done, then you will say that, hey UAT department, I have already fixed the changes that you have requested me. Can you please test it one more time? They will test it 10 times if they need to go to, but they will not push the changes until they are satisfied that all those changes that you have, that the client is expecting to have, are there. That is why ERP systems are bigger systems. Companies like Coca-Cola, Tata, and all those companies are not just working on your piece of code. They are testing those codes and then they are pushing it. Because if they have this reputation in the market, they have come a long way, because they are pushing out the reliable softwares to their clients, right? They are not just randomly asking somebody to write the code and saying that it's a good code, please use this. It's not going to work this way in the real world. Apply solutions and design principle to create software that are reusable, extensible, and easy to test. Reusable means that if this particular ERP system that is being developed by a software house or a software company, and you are the part of that team, you must be feeling proud. But if you created a system that only works for one company but doesn't work for another similar company, then it's not a reusable software. You just created a software for one company. I should be able, as a CEO of the company, should be able to market that software, or a marketing person should be able to say that here is that Samsung phone, or here is this iPhone. I have sold it to these many people. They have not complained it. Here's another Samsung phone that I wanted to sell it to you. And they should be able to purchase it based on the word of mouth that they have understood about it, that this is a reusable software. But if it is not reusable, if you go from one company to another company, then and it does not work, then it's not a reusable so the more generic program that you will make, the more reusable it will be. Extensible means you should be able to create versions out of it. And easy to test means UAT department will be able to test it. Any questions so far? I'm just talking theory at the moment. Yeah. Any questions? No. Online students? Yeah. Good. Discuss the security issues of the proposed solution to meet the client requirement. Okay. I created a portal where you can log in. But what if I created a portal of a Gmail, let's say. I'm just keeping very simple. Let's say you go ahead and create a new email address on Gmail. But I made one mistake. The text box where you enter the password, I forgot to make sure that when the user is entering the password, it should not show star, 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 or dot, 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 but it is actually showing my password when I'm entering it. Is that a good thing to have or bad? That's a bad thing to have. I left the security loophole in that program, because when the user is typing their password and somebody is sitting next to me, they should not be able to sneak my password. So developing the software is not one thing. We have to keep in mind the security issues. Okay, one other thing. You all may have a bank account. Let's say you are missing 10 cents in account. You know that you have submitted, you went to the bank, you submitted $10. When you came back home, you logged in, you saw that your bank account statement is showing 9.90. You are missing 10 cents in your account. Will you be able to trust that bank? Will you be able to trust the transactions that you will be going to do in the future? Will you be able to recommend that to your friend? So the trust in the data has to be maintained as well, right? If you know that a program works in a certain way, then it has to work in that way all the time. Your credit and debit transactions should be transparent. When do people lose the trust in the data? When you will have security issues, when you have lapses. Yes, when you come back and you see and you call the bank and say that, hi, I have submitted $10, but I got only 9.90. They may say that this 10 cents is the bank fees or charges. Then you will be okay. Then you will take a sigh of relief. But if they have no answer as to where that 10 cents got lost, you will lose the trust in the data. And if you lose the trust in the data, potentially all the other ones, all the other friends that you will recommend will lose the trust in the data. So data has to be consistent, has to be trustable, right? And has to be propose a solution to meet the client requirement. Okay. And last thing, produce a feasibility study to examine the practicality of the solution. What do you mean by feasibility? Can it be achieved or not? Is it doable in the scenarios that we are developing this? So let's say you are working in a company that is remotely located 100 kilometers from here. There are uh, not a lot of people, not a lot of not a lot of good internet connection, but this is a big oil and gas company. They are asking to make an ERP system that can work over there, but the internet connection over there is not good. And the main office is and the server located in Red Deer. 100 kilometers from here will need to connect all the employees to store the information in the server on the Red Deer, but the internet connection is fishy and not reliable. Will that be a good solution to have? Because the feasibility shows that you need to have good internet connection. You need to develop the infrastructure, good networking infrastructure to provide the internet connectivity to that location so that you meet the feasibility of using that software, right? So that is why we need to study all those feasibility aspects as well. So when I will go to the book, we will look at all these points. This is just an overview that I was giving to you to the learning outcome. So you have to now think of it not as a narrow-minded programmer who will just looking at one program and this is how I'm going to see it. This course is making you think, critically think at your desk when you are working in the office environment. Think of it as a so in this course you are uh, uh, learning in a way that you are working not as an individual but working as a team, or if you are an individual, you are a consultant who can walk into any company, look at their system and give recommendations to them that this is how you will be improving the system. So think of yourself not as just a narrow-minded programmer who is able to write the table of two program. That's where I started my lecture, asking you to think about write a Java program. Yes or no, you can do it or you cannot do it. But as I said, as a software developer, you have to have that capability. But as a software developer, you should not just stuck yourself that you are just a software developer. You should be able to give recommendation saying that this is how we are going to solve or approach the program. When you will be sitting at a round table with your managers, you will be able to give that, yes, this is doable, yes, this is not doable. And why you will be able to do that? You will be able to back up your knowledge. You will be backing your knowledge that this is what I think, and you're not necessarily you are just thinking out very small points when you are discussing that. When you go back and write a detailed email about what you think, why this is not going to happen, why we are having these issues. I'm telling you very true stories that for the last 5 6 years or 7 years of my programming, after I have done the programming and all that, i'm I'm becoming more of a business analyst, because my manager or my CEO of the company or my chairman of my company always used to come and ask me, can you tell me why this is happening in our system? Can you tell me why this has happened, why this data made it? So I had to dig deep into the data, go inside the data, look at the data, look at the issues, and give them the problems that this is why it is happening. That has really polished my skills, giving making me answerable to the upper management. Sometimes it was really tough to go inside and find out the needle in the haystack, very small issue, why this has happened. Everything looks very okay, but maybe there was somebody who made changes which was not recommended and I was able to give them the answers, right? So you are not just a programmer that program is written, my job is done. I'm done with my hands. No. People will come and ask you question and you should be able to answer that. Your manager who has not coded it, your supervisor who has not done the coding, you are the one who has done the coding, you will be in a better position to answer, right? Not them. Yes, you will write back to your manager and your manager will be able to explain to the higher management that this is why it has happened and this is how we're going to fix it. And the questions and answers will be coming directly from the client. You know, when you call to the bank, you are their client, and the people who are listening. Yeah, you can come in. I think he's. Hi. Sorry, I'm late. No worries. You will be able to listen to the recording anyway. So let me just make sure. So when you are done coding, you only have done the part of your job. And the more and more you do the programming, the more and more you will be able to answer if somebody comes back and asks you why this happened, why that happened. Oh, this question is coming from the client. Shan, can you answer this question? This question is coming from the client. We need to answer this in next 48 hours. If you understand the whole process, then you will be able to give the answer. If you don't know the process, you'll not be able to answer. People will, in this course, sometimes will yawn and sleep because they think it's more of a theory. But you now know the importance of this course now. The reason I'm saying is that you have to start coming out of your narrow-minded programming mind, but to think of the systems as a whole. Think of that you will be the designers of the systems. Obviously, you will go project by project. You'll start somewhere as a programmer. Maybe I should open this. I phase one reading. Let's see. The book has to be purchased. It's a Cengage course, so we'll definitely have to buy the book. It has. Now you start reading this page number 1 for whatever I have explained in this class since the start of the class. Read this page number 1, which says chapter 1 will cover this, chapter 2 will do this, and chapter 3 will do this. But start looking at in a bigger picture. I will give you next 5 minutes to go over this page, please. Yeah. You have access to that? Not yet? Okay. I'll just make it a I'll make it a small so you can read it from my screen share. You will be able to see that. Please read it from the book because I know probably some people might not have the books at the moment. So I have shared my screen. Please read it from the book. The book page is on my screen. So today is the first day. I will probably not remember everybody's name, but I'll go through names a couple of times. So go ahead. When you are done, let me know when you are done reading. System planning is the first of the 5 phases. We'll go through all those phases and all those things that we are going to look at.